Enjoy yours as well. But here we are, the teams are in their huddles. Arsenal to our left, Manchester City to the right. It's the first choice kits, which is, I think, always a good thing for a big match. Red shirts, white sleeves, white shorts, red socks for Arsenal, and Manchester City in the sky blue shirts, white shorts and dark blue socks. Arsenal's team, Raya's fit, he's in and Havertz through the middle. Incidentally, if you are keen to know more about North London Forever, the song, and why Arsenal have adopted it, Colin Murray's great football songbook this morning, 5 Live, 10:30. If you go back in the schedule, you'll hear the full story. It's well worth listening to. And Manchester City's team, as the BBC World Service listeners join us here at the atmospheric Emirates Stadium in full voice. Manchester City with Ortega in goal, no Ederson today. Then Stones, Akanji and Guardiola, Mateus Nunes and Savinho wide, and then Haaland up front. 2-2 draw when they met at the Emirates, at the Etihad Stadium in September. Too many Gulf airlines for my liking. And we'll see what develops today. And for goodness sake, remember, Matt, stay humble.
Always, John, always.
It's a throw into Arsenal. Match begins. Peter Banks, the referee, throwing to Arsenal in the left-back position, and it's played forward through the middle. Guardiola's cleared it, but charged down by Martinelli. Arsenal off on the first attack of the match, and the shot from the angle is at goalkeeper Ortega from Havertz. A shot from Havertz, a shot near the left corner of the penalty area, and the goalkeeper back in the team made the save as it's played forward by Savinho, and Gabriel had to be careful there with Haaland lurking on his shoulder, and he left that to the last possible moment to side-foot it away out of play on the far side.
I think he was half waiting for David Raya to come. He didn't know if the weight of the ball that was going through. He was half waiting for David Raya to come. He didn't know if the weight of the ball that was going through was going to make it to Raya. So Gabriel just kind of assessing that situation, always in control, but left it a little bit late to deal with.
And with everything that happened in the match, remember Trossard was sent off. At the Etihad Stadium, and it swung one way then the other. John Stones' equaliser in the 8th minute of added time. It was a real thriller. These are the teams that finished in the top 2 in the Premier League in each of the past 2 seasons, but in this one Arsenal come into it, and a chance here for Havertz. Havertz squares it, Odegaard puts it in the net. There's no offside flag, given away by Manchester City on the edge of their own box, and Arsenal have a second-minute lead. Unselfish by Havertz, laid it on a plate for Ortega and for Odegaard, and the Arsenal captain said, "Thank you very much. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0.
Wow, Pep Guardiola walking back to his seat on the bench with a bit of a look of disgust on his face, that he's so disappointed with his team start here. Started off a little bit loose from Ortega, if I'm honest. He took a long time just dwelling on the ball, waiting to see what was happened. They try and play out through the back. It's a sideways pass with not a lot of pace on it, and the way that Arsenal start at home, they go all out, they go in the full press. Odegaard leads the charge, they turn it over, the ball's popped through to Havertz. I have to say, I thought Havertz was Odegaard right on the penalty spot, just waiting for the ball. He squares it, it's a little bit bobbly. The pass is not a brilliant pass from Havertz, a little bit scruffy, but Odegaard's left foot is absolutely primed for that kind of finish, and he just slides it into the back of the net under a little bit of pressure from Guardiola. What a start for Arsenal.
1 minute 45 on the clock when Arsenal took the lead. I did wonder about offside, but I think John Stones, who initially played the pass, John Stones, having played that pass, was in a position that meant that Arsenal were onside.
It had a little real uncertainty right from Ortega, though, didn't it? He took a long time with his foot on top of the ball, then just passing it out, not a lot of purpose or meaning or intensity, and Arsenal just pressed it really well.
Well, Manchester City are, as they say, architects of their own downfall. for the second consecutive Premier League match. Remember the Chelsea match last weekend when the young Uzbek Kuzanov, who's among the substitutes today, had the awful start and presented the opening goal to Chelsea. Well, Manchester City last weekend were able to come back and win. This is a different matter here at the Emirates, Matt.
Yeah, they showed real character last weekend. They're at home against a Chelsea team that isn't the same as this Arsenal team in terms of style of play, physical side that Arsenal have to the game. They're pretty good at managing the match, I will say. They're up there with one of the top teams of managing situations. So Manchester City are going to have a tougher challenge to get back in this game.
Yeah, we might see the dark arts coming into play.
There's potential.
There is. 1-0.
What are they exactly?
You're
the dark arts.
You're the defender. Although I never associated you with that kind of thing.
Time wasting.
Here's Partey for Arsenal, long right-footed ball to Lewis Skelly, who's well advanced down the left-hand side, just cushioned a header back, and it is Trossard who's over there on the left-hand side. Two challenges coming on him, the ball bounces out of play, and that is given as a Manchester City throw. So Martin Odegaard, who and the goal will not stand, and Arsenal continue to lead 1-0. Great finish though by Martinelli.
Lovely little chip. Martin Odegaard again with the burst forward. I mean, it's been a real sleepy start to the game from City. They've not started well at all. It's on the right-hand side, Martinelli, who's playing in that Saka position, obviously a right footer, so he's going to stay a bit wider, but he just lifts the ball lovely over Ortega into the back of the net, and probably a good yard and a half offside by the time Odegaard slipped him the ball. But you know, another example of City not quite getting to grips with the ball in the middle of the park, which has a different layout, doesn't it? You've got Kovacic in there, Bernardo Silva's central, you've got Mamouche actually really central, with Savinho out on the wide left, and Phil Foden and Nunez pushed up really high on the right-hand side.
Manchester City in possession inside their own half. 5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. You can listen as well on the move. All of live BBC radio is available. You can find it on BBC Sounds. And Manchester City, an early setback for them. In the match in September, remember, it was Manchester City who had the early lead when Haaland scored. But Manchester City with work to do, conceding again. Change of goalkeeper. No Ederson, Ortega coming in, and he's beaten in the second minute. 2 matches well underway in the Premiership in Scotland, featuring the top 2, and it's to Ibrox we go now. Kenny Crawford.
78-minute score, and it's currently Rangers 3, Ross County 0. James Tavernier standing on the spot to make it another one from the penalty, and he scores! Rangers 4, Ross County 0. Goal number 129 of James Tavernier's Rangers career.
4-0 Rangers. Hadji has scored twice, Suter got the other. Celtic are winning 2-1 at Motherwell. We'll be back there in a moment or two. And in the one match today in League One, Bristol Rovers winning 2-0 against Peterborough. That's the latest score. Spring in North London this afternoon. And Arsenal having really sprung off to a great start. Manchester City really caught playing the ball out from the back. And yet again, you know, they've just leaked goals, haven't they, Manchester City? This is going to be now 3 clean sheets in their last 14 in all competitions. Here's Gvardiol.
I mean, you just didn't get those opportunities against a City team that's in full swing. They don't make mistakes like that. They don't kind of tickle the ball around in those areas of the pitch.
Long pass from Stones. It was almost Van Dijk like that pass to Mateus Nunez down the right-hand side, and a very, very belated offside flag. Mateus Nunez had set off on a weaving run in field, and then eventually the flag was raised by Nick Greenhouse. But you know, that's what they're told. They've got to wait to see how moves develop, and that's what he did. But a free kick to Arsenal.
I just had a look at the replay of the goal, and it's Stones to Akanji is the pass. It's a real sloppy crossfield pass that Akanji just doesn't really deal with particularly well and gets robbed, and Arsenal fully capitalising on that square ball. But they're so set up for the press, Arsenal. Whenever they're at home, Whenever I come here and I watch them at this ground, they start the first 5 or 10 minutes. Odegaard leads that line. He gets everyone high up the pitch. You're probably better off trying to bypass those shorter passes and go into the midfield or go into the front, go longer. I think that would be, a better strategy with dealing with that first 5-10 minutes here.
The cheers there that you heard as Bernardo Silva can't keep the ball in, and Pep Guardiola claps his hands. He's in the technical area, the cheers there, because the ball bounced off the field and Josko Gvardiol stepped into the technical area, which is a different sort of, it's a kind of matting there, isn't it, and slipped over, and hence the cheers that you heard. Throw in for Arsenal as they play from left to right towards the clock stand. Long pass from centre field, but Havertz was in an offside position. It was as it was delivered to him by Saliba, so it's a free kick to Manchester City, level the edge of their own box. Yes, remember, Arsenal still unbeaten here in the Premier League this season, although they did lose in the Cups last month to Newcastle. Second leg of the semi-final this week as Kovacic, I thought he was tripped there, but referee Banks has brought it back for the free kick because he thought Manchester City were going to lose possession, and obviously knocked out of the FA Cup by Manchester United here, but unbeaten in the league here this season, Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, they very nearly lost possession again there, City. Yes, there was a little trip from Odegaard, but very risky passes in and around the midfield and back four from City early on.
But as you say, Matt, over the years, certainly over the recent years, we're so used to those passes finding their targets.
Yeah, but sometimes they're made in a different light, aren't they? In a different way. That it's just got to have a real purpose to it. And sometimes I feel that there's an edginess about City at the moment, and you can just see it certainly at the start of this game.
And actually, Bernardo Silva has to flick the ball away after a header in field in the defensive third by Mateus Nunes to Bernardo Silva. That was a little bit of desperation, and Pep Guardiola just turns to, I think, Juanma Leo, his assistant, and says something, waves his arms around, not happy.
Got an impression for that one? Is it just Wenger that you specialise in?
Not for the airwaves. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. The early goal for Arsenal from this man, Martin Odegaard, as Timber loses out to Gvardiol and Kovacic. Of course, Manchester City have been down this road, all of the experience that there's out there, although Gundogan and De Bruyne are only substitutes today. I think we're probably at the point where Pep Guardiola has to think very carefully about whether those two start 2 matches in a week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I also love looking at the bench of the game from an attacking sense, and neither team are really that heavily weighted with goals, shall we say, off the bench. I mean, you've got Grealish, De Bruyne, Gundogan for City, you've got Sterling and Nwaneri for Arsenal, but there's there's not much to come off the bench that's really going to impact this game in terms of goals.
It's Matt Upson with us here on BBC Radio. Matt played for England at the World Cup, Premier League winner with Arsenal. Here's Stones starting a match in the Premier League for the first time since before Christmas. Stones passing it forward, but Partey in on the challenge, and it's off Savinho and out of play for a throw into Arsenal.
It's interesting. Savinho and Mamouche are really close together, aren't they, on this left-hand side? I think that's something that Pep's looking at for them to link up. I mean, they've got to have a good game today, these players. I think attacking-wise, they've really got to cause problems to Arsenal. And so far, they've had a lot of possession, City, but not in the right areas of the pitch. And Arsenal have barely had the ball.
Long one downfield from Raya that Havertz bounces off him, and then in comes Savinho to play it off Havertz. Incredibly, it doesn't bounce out of play. Then I think Havertz might have been caught late there, and even though Foden was away with the ball, referee Banks has brought it back for that foul by Savinho on Havertz, and the Arsenal supporters down in front of us here are suggesting that was worth a yellow card for the Manchester City man.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite a yellow at this stage in the game in this fiery occasion, John. It's not worthy of a yellow. It's maybe a talking to and a steady down, but I think Kovacic wasn't happy because it looked like he'd waved play on or let play go on and brought it back quite a long way to the original foul.
I think the Manchester City players have been on to referee Banks and have already been talking to him, or maybe this is his own initiative, might well be, but he's come over and he's told Jurriën Timber that he needs to get on with it, and he eventually does take the free kick back into his own half, and Gabriel all the way back to goalkeeper Raya in that sort of two-tone yellowy orangey outfit that he is in. Doubt for this match. Neto made his debut and as you may have heard or may have seen, didn't cover himself in glory for the goal that Arsenal conceded in Spain against Girona this week. It was his debut at the age of 35, the oldest Arsenal debutant for over a century, as Partey has the ball approaching the halfway line, plays it square to Odegaard, who's back there almost as part of the back line. That's a lovely pass, stroked it, sure touch.
A foul from where I was sat. I think Nunez just clips the back of his heels. It might be accidental, but it's clumsy from Nunez, who you really feel is the weak link in that back four and the right back position. I think 1v1s and just that defensive instinct isn't there with him yet. I mean, it's a new position for him. It's a big ask for him to play there, so it's very difficult. But I think Trossard, if he can get him one-on-one as often as he can, he's going to get some joy.
Well, you know, this is absolutely very Pep Guardiola, isn't it? He's playing him there, and he's determined that will be a success until he decides to do something else.
It may well be, but it's going to cost along the way.
Well, I have to say, with the matches coming up against Real Madrid in the Champions League, Carlo Ancelotti surely will be looking at that area where Mateus Nunez is, the right side of the defence. And Pep Guardiola has just been sending instructions on to John Stones as well, whether that's anything
you can
to do
cast your mind straight into 2 or 3 occasions where it's really cost them in big games. The Manchester derby at home, away at PSG where we were, that decision to go out wide in the first goal was a very costly decision, more than an actual mistake one-on-one or with the ball. And again the other night at home, I felt in the first goal, that defensive instinct isn't quite there yet with him. He's got to pick that up.
Seen very little of Manchester City in an attacking sense. I thought we might here, but no, Arsenal have won it back. Partey, then to Havertz on the right-hand side. Arsenal supporters urging their team on here at the Emirates with Havertz, who uses Timber to his right, then back to Partey onto the chest of Lewis Skelly, who's appeared in that midfield position as he likes to do, and or as actually more likely he's told to do, as Trossard angles it into the box. Martinelli's after this, but Ortega's able to dive out gloves first and claim the ball.
You just can't play left back anymore, John. It's not allowed. You've got to be left back, stroke, centre midfield, maybe attacking midfield at some point. I mean, it's such a versatile position, but it suits someone like a Lewis Skelly so much because they're very relaxed and comfortable with the ball, and he's just going inside, picking the right opportunities to do that and then dropping back in position when the ball turns over.
Manchester City, who lost here last season, remember the late goal that Martinelli scored? That was 1-0 to the Arsenal. Early goal today, 1-0 to the Arsenal. And now Marmoush, edge of the area, goes for goal from best part of 25 yards, but the ball sailed away, didn't dip. He was probably looking for bend curl into the top corner from where he was, and it maintained its line and flew away into all of those red scarves behind the goal.
You just got the feeling that he was going to hit that no matter what. He's not had much ball in this game so far. It came to him, it was a nice angle, but well closed down by Saliba and Odegaard coming from the other side.
In goes Lewis Skelly. Excellent. It was a 50-50 with Nunez. Good tackle, but the ball bounced out, and Manchester City have got it back. Gvardiol just pops it infield to Kovacic, who's under pressure from Odegaard, but stands up strong.
He does an half press well, doesn't he, Martin Odegaard? I will say, I think he's so decisive when he goes. He sees it building up and he picks his moment, and then bang, he's right on top of you.
Yes, I was reading his column in the programme today. He was talking about how he simply couldn't raise himself last week, and when he was ill, missed the match at Molineux. He actually said in his column in the programme, I was throwing up all to read when I was eating my chocolate mousse. But there we are, telling it like it is. Stones, right-footed ball forward, but that was beyond Savigno, and it's out of play for a throw-in to Arsenal on the edge of their own penalty area, level with the edge of their own penalty area. 1-0 to Arsenal. As I say, they lost here last season, Manchester City, but that is Pep Guardiola's only defeat to Arsenal in the Premier League as the Manchester City manager.
It's crazy, isn't it, really? But they really have had the upper hand. That's why this game, you feel, has a slightly different complexion, doesn't it, right from the start, and it's playing out that way as well.
Yeah, although, it should be added that in actual fact Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 4 against City. Here's Foden taking it on through the middle, but runs into 3 Arsenal players who dispossess him, and now Odegaard out to the right hand side. Martinelli slides, just keeps the ball in play, but because of the contact that he had on the ball, that delivered it to Gvardiol, who was able to clear, and then Kovacic turns away from Havertz and then checks back and gives it to Bernardo Silva, who goes the full 360 degrees, passes it out to Bristol Rovers. Are now 3-0 up on Peterborough in League One. Both sides just above the relegation zone in League One. 1-0 to Arsenal. Odegaard scoring the early goal after Manchester City, Stones and Akanji contrived to lose possession on the edge of their own box, and Arsenal took full advantage. Havertz squaring to Odegaard to shoot in from 10 or 12 yards. Kovacic playing it at the right hand side. With Liverpool winning again and again and again, it seems Arsenal, if they're going to stay in touch, simply have to win this. But what a test against the champions. However, 1-0 up. Foden, though, as City come forward. Mateus Nunes back to the number 47, Phil Foden, in very good form. 6 goals in his last 7 appearances, Phil Foden. And indeed, 6 goals in the last 4 Premier League matches, when he scored with every attempt that he's had in those matches. 6 goals, 6 attempts. When you think of the Euros, Matt, when you and I were watching him in Germany, and he could not get the ball into the net. It's funny, isn't it, how things go. Here's Mateus Nunes, again for City on the right-hand side. Trossard comes back, ball goes all the way back to Akanji, and then an Arsenal with number Stones in the centre circle. Instead, it's Mateus Nunes. First
in tussle in this fixture, and already you can see there's plenty of physical contact, and one of them is locking in with him every time when the ball's wide.
Kovacic spears a pass to Mateus Nunes. In comes the cross, deep to the back post. Timber had to get there because Bernardo Silva was there at the back post, but it's headed behind. It's a corner to Manchester City, first of the match. We heard how Rangers are now 4-0 up against Ross County. What about Motherwell Celtic, Gavin Wallace?
Right at the death. Jota, he's just signed right at the death. He's completely ruined the match report now, John, but it was lovely, patient build-up play. He was at the back post, the ball slotted in, and the new stroke old signing makes it Motherwell 1, Celtic 3.
Yes, it'll be popular. Jota getting on the score sheet, so 3-1, Rangers winning 4-0. 3 o'clock kickoffs those. Manchester City with a corner here from the left-hand side, and in it goes to the near post. Gvardiol with a header, blocked on the line, and somehow Arsenal survive. Gvardiol with a header, I thought that was goal bound, but it was blocked on the line, and Arsenal have been able to clear it.
I think that is a save and a half, John, from David Raya. What a save. I mean, it's a glancing head, it's a lovely ball into the books, right-footed by Mamouche. He gets a flicked header from Gvardiol. What a reaction save, left hand from David Raya. He palms it up in the air. Haaland is waiting on the back post for the ball to drop. He wants it to drop into the field, and it hits the crossbar above his head and bounces out. I mean, really close miss.
Marmouche into the penalty area. Savigno, though, slipping as he tried to, well, possibly square it, possibly shoot, but the angle was very tight, and with that contact he took it straight behind for a goal kick. But David Raya there showing his worth. What a reaction stop that was. And Gvardiol got a superb touch onto it with the glance, and he just threw up one of the biggest hands in football and got enough on it. And now Arsenal at the other end, but it's cleared away downfield. Manchester City, as Marmouche is eased over by Partey. It's a free kick. City take it quickly. Kovacic, and now Savigno. City get into their stride. Left foot cross to Haaland at the back post, but Lewis Skelly did extremely well. Little Lewis Skelly against the giant Haaland just meant he just got in his way. Haaland couldn't get to the ball, and anyway the flag was up on the far side.
It's top defending from the young fullback. It really is. He sees that Haaland's pulled onto him, but what he does so well, he knows he can't win that ball. He's not going to outmuscle Haaland, but he just uses his body to obstruct him. He bumps him. He doesn't allow him any kind of flow to get onto the ball to attack it at the back post, and in the end Haaland commits the foul on him and kind of clumsily trips him. It's top defending from Lewis Skelly.
Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0 remains the score. Martin Odegaard's early goal. We're going to be going to the full times, I think, very shortly. in the Premiership in Scotland. But Arsenal playing it downfield. Stones is up, they're headed away. Now here is Savinho. Savinho, I think he might have been fouled. He was.
It's a yellow card.
And that is going to be a yellow card for Timber. He was away there.
Yeah, he was. Cynical foul. I think we can safely say that Manchester City are over their hangover from the European fixture midweek, and in the last 5-10 minutes or so they've really got into their rhythm in this game and are starting to dominate the game.
Yeah, we're going to go to either Motherwell or Rangers in a moment, but Manchester City have got this free kick forward of the centre circle, and let's make a note of that, yellow card for Timber. And City actually go back into their own half. Kovacic giving it back to Akanji, and then all the way back to Ortega on the edge of the box. Right, to Motherwell then, Gavin Wallace. Oh, Arsenal in possession, Havertz, centre of the goal. Oh, he's missed. Manchester City gave the ball away again, and they are very, very lucky that Arsenal and Havertz did not punish them. Havertz set himself middle of the goal. Ortega was trying to get back, it wide with his left foot at the foot of the right post.
What is Ortega doing with his pass? Honestly, the Manchester City goalkeeper, he tries to tickle a ball into straight pass into Bernardo Silva. Declan Rice is breathing down his neck. He gets his toe and it wins it straight to Havertz and just drags it. Actually misses the target from that kind of range. It's really, really poor from the Arsenal striker.
Arsenal come again, trying to shrug that off. Martinelli with a cross to the back post. Oh, important header from Matheus Nunes. With Rice arriving, glancing it behind. It's a corner to Arsenal. Martin Odegaard raises his arms. He says to the Arsenal supporters, come on, forget about that miss. Yeah. Get behind us. That's the message.
Yeah, I mean, Havertz has to clear his head. I've just seen him have a little shake of the head again, you know, so frustrated with himself when you make those kind of mistakes, and that's a big mistake for a centre forward to miss that kind of opportunity in this game. You've got to eject it out of your head and focus on the next one.
Remember at the Etihad how Gabriel scored from a corner in that 2-2 match. 5 of Arsenal's last 10 Premier League goals against Manchester City have come from corners. This is their first one of this match. In comes the delivery from Rice, but Gvardiol does well to head it away, and then Odegaard hits a clean shot on the volley that was blocked by Bernardo Silva, and then Bernardo Silva jumped into Odegaard, who goes down. No free kick given, then it's run out of play by Saliba, and the referee will stop play to check on Odegaard, who has gone down holding his face.
That's a foul
by Bernardo Silva.
It's a bad foul from Bernardo Silva. He just smashes into Martin Odegaard before the ball comes down. He takes a little glance to him with his head as well. They've got every right to be frustrated with that, Arsenal. He's got no attempt to play the ball there, Bernardo Silva. He just shoulder charges the Arsenal captain before he has a chance to bring the ball down, and Peter Banks really should be on top of that.
Whether he actually made contact with his head, or I'm not sure.
I don't think he did.
I think it was his top of his shoulder.
I think it was more like he jolted his neck, because it almost kind of whiplashed the way he just shoulder charged him. I don't think Odegaard was expecting the contact, because he's just watching the ball.
Could easily be 2-0 had Havertz been able to put that great chance away, and he knew, he pulled his shirt up over his face, and yes, he is Arsenal's top scorer with 14 goals this season, but I feel as though I've seen him do that before this season. Yeah. Mind you, it could easily have been 1-1 at the other end had Raya not made the save. No. Anyway, we need to bring you full-time news on Motherwell Celtic. Gavin Wallace.
Motherwell 1, Celtic 3, John. Celtic keep that gap to 10 at the top. Goals from Maeda, Ida and Jota on his first game back, enough to put down Armstrong's equaliser. Motherwell 1, Celtic 3.
Bristol Rovers have won 3-1 against Peterborough. Celtic have won. Going to Rangers in a moment, but here come Arsenal again, looking for that second goal. Trossard checks back. He's got Lewis Skelly to his left. In fact, he goes infield to Odegaard. Now here is the teenager, Lewis Skelly, plays the ball from foot to foot and then knocks it back to Gabriel. Little ball forward, Odegaard helps it on, but that will bounce all the way through for a goal kick, which Manchester City will prepare to take. Arsenal winning 1-0. So to Ibrox, Kenny Crawford.
Full-time, Rangers 4, Ross County 0. Third smooth win of the season for Rangers against the Highlanders. Aggregate score 13-0. Doing the damage today were Yanis Hadji, John Souttar and James Tavernier. Rangers 4, Ross County 0.
Yes, it's a little more even between Arsenal and Manchester City over the two matches. 3-2 on aggregate to Arsenal at the moment, but I think what we've seen in the last 10 minutes or so suggests there's every chance of further goals here.
Well, there's every chance of Manchester City really giving a good account of themselves, and if they just stop the silly errors with the passing at the back. Other than that, it's been a solid start to the game for Manchester City after what was quite a difficult high pressure evening midweek. Arsenal had a very different feel to their fixture against Girona. City had all the pressure at home, and I think you do get a little bit of a hangover from that for the next game.
Yes, Arsenal pretty much certain of going through. They made 7 changes for midweek. Mikel Arteta made 7 changes back for this one. Manchester City had to go strong. Pep Guardiola has made only 3 changes. That could play a part. And right now you do wonder about John Stones starting 2 matches in a week with this foot injury that has been problematic all season. Throw-in taken by Arsenal. Pep Guardiola, as Ortega there cleared the ball out of play. Pep Guardiola was applauding his goalkeeper. Free kick conceded by Arsenal, and Manchester City have it on the edge of their own penalty area. We are in the last 15 minutes of the first half, and Arsenal still lead through the early goal, but there could easily have been at least a couple more. Superb save by Raya at one end, just a reaction save from him. He's so good at that, isn't he? He
needed every inch of those big hands for that one, didn't he?
Here's Marmoush away down the left-hand side, his second appearance for Manchester City, the Egyptian. Lovely little swivel of the hips there from him as he just allowed the ball to slow down. It's almost Elvis Presley-like as Marmoush plays it back to Foden. Again, Marmoush. Foden, who's appeared on the left, goes for the cross, which I think struck timber and on the upper chest, maybe even on the chin, and he's collapsed on his back.
Right, is Gabriel, I think, all the way across in the right back position. He's just on the kind of edge of the 18-yard box, isn't he? Came across to block the shot. I think Foden whipped it straight into his midriff there, right in the just under the rib cage, and it took the wind out of his sails.
Yes, I got that confused. When he went down, they were shouting timber.
As in a felling tree.
It's a corner from the left-hand side that Marmoush will take, right-footed, headed away. Well, did that come off an Arsenal head or a Manchester City head? Or did it come off a Kanji? Anyway, it just bounced into the air and Raya was able to catch it. And Trossard now. Trossard on the halfway line as Arsenal look to break forward. Left-footed ball crossfield, but Foden, the recovering Foden, was able to head it back to Bernardo Silva. There's a real air of the match and, almost being out of control here sometimes as one team or the other heads forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unusual type of game for this fixture, isn't it? You normally kind of know what you're going to get from City and Arsenal in this, and I think this one is different. City not playing in that same controlled way, but still looking actually quite dangerous as they build up.
Kovacic now through the middle to Foden, then Bernardo Silva. Here's Mateus Nunes on the right, looks back, gives it to Akanji. Pep Guardiola just in my eye line, looks very agitated, kicks out his right leg. He's already been at his head again. Ball chipped out to the right hand side. Mateus Nunes, left-footed ball into the penalty area. That's headed up and away by Gabriel. Bounces on the edge of the area. Marmoush jumps, he heads it on, and then there's a challenge by Akanji on Havertz, which is given as a free kick. Manchester City players protest. Foden arms apart, and also the captain today, Bernardo Silva, also speaks to the referee, but free kick Arsenal.
I mean, he is good at this, Havertz, I have to say. I mean, his finishing obviously could sharpen up, but in terms of the impact he has in his aerial threat, winning fouls, getting hold of the ball, he's very good at that. He uses his body and is physically a handful for a centre forward in the modern game.
Arsenal have revealed their hand, haven't they, really, with the bid for Ollie Watkins this week.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they say about whether they need an out-and-out centre forward, the fact that they have put in a bid for Ollie Watkins this week tells you exactly all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to look too deep into the fact that pretty much makes sense, doesn't it? And having a striker that you know is going to score more goals is going to put you in a better position to win a league title.
As Ortega just clears the ball in time, it comes back at Manchester City, but Declan Rice lost it. It all got rather tangled up. Bernardo Silva now to Foden. Foden just rolls it into the path of the arriving Mateus Nunes on the right flank. He's forced back. In fact, he's dispossessed by Lewis Skelly, who does excellently there. And Lewis Skelly now drives forward halfway inside the Manchester City half. He's gone. He's used Gabriel Martinelli, who is over there, and he will play it back to Trossard, who's behind him, and then they go all the way back towards the halfway line. And Tim Gabriel now to Lewis Skelly again. Back it goes to Declan Rice, who as Arsenal have the kind of possession that you're used to Manchester City having. Just control. This is control.
Yeah.
Control possession.
But there hasn't really been this kind of lull in the game so far, has there? It's been very end-to-end.
Odegaard trying to send a pass through to Gvardiol, who played the ball back, and then as Martinelli raced on, Gvardiol actually tripped him in the box, and he went sprawling there. The crowd were shouting, wondering whether that might be a penalty, but absolutely none of the players. Here's Gvardiol again. Gvardiol to Marmoush, who then sets off down the left wing, up against Timber. Low ball in, deflected though. Partey just stepped across and
great
blocked
position
the pass.
that from Partey, wasn't it? Defensive instinct. I mean, he's inside the full-back in that midfield. He's reading Marmoush's pass where he wants to go central into the front, then get it back, and he just steps right into that line and steals the ball. I mean, it doesn't look like a lot, but from a defensive midfield player point of view, it's a top piece of play from Thomas Partey there.
Not seen as much of Marmoush so far in the match as we did last week against Chelsea. It's some start, isn't it, in the Premier League? Chelsea at home and Arsenal away. And of course for Manchester City, this run of matches in the league, the 2 matches against Real Madrid, Newcastle at home is their next league match, then it's Liverpool, Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. Leyton Orient next Saturday though.
Yeah.
Which will be one of our FA Cup commentaries. It is the 12:15 kickoff, I think it is, against Leyton Orient next Saturday lunchtime. One of our many FA Cup commentaries next weekend. 5 Live, the only place that you will hear Premier League, Carabao Cup, Men's Six Nations Rugby Union and FA Cup commentaries. All of that over the course of the coming weeks. Busy time. Here is Gabriel. Passes the ball straight to Mateus Nunes. Groans all round, and Manchester City have got the ball back as half-time is 6 or 7 minutes away. As Stones is just turning and playing the ball back to his
This is the only time where I feel a bit edgy about City, if I'm honest. When Ortega's on the ball and they're taking a little bit of time to get their head up and find the pass, the movement isn't quite there for City to be as slick as what you sometimes would expect. I think that's one element of how difficult things have been for Manchester City. But this is the edgiest part for me, when Ortega dwells on the ball.
City still with it on the edge of their own box. Stones is going to go cross field under pressure from Odegaard every time they can. Arsenal, Odegaard trying to unsettle John Stones, which takes some doing with Stones so comfortable on the ball. Foden carries it over the halfway line, plays it back to Akanji. Cross-field pass from Akanji. That's looking for Gvardiol. He's going to do well. He does. He actually controls the bouncing ball with his left foot, then plays it back to Marmoush. Marmoush, long sleeves on his sky blue shirt. He's got that bandage again on his left hand, left wrist. Ball out to Akanji now on the right-hand side. The home supporters, you can hear, sense that the team needs their help as half-time approaches. And City with Stones back near the centre circle. Stones just walking it forward, actually, and it opens up for him, so he's able to take it on. He's 30 yards from goal now as he passes it to Marmoush, who loses possession. And Arsenal, Martinelli long and forward for Havertz. Havertz has got Stones with him. There's no one else in an Arsenal shirt anywhere near. The reinforcements are arriving now. Havertz still with it, plays it from foot to foot. Then back to Odegaard, just outside the area. Odegaard's pass is cut out. City could be on the counter-attack now. Kovacic upright, looking at the options, passes it beautifully forward to Savinho on the left-hand side. There's only Haaland inside the penalty area. Foden arriving. Savinho with a cross, left-footed towards the back post. Haaland heads it down, but it's cleared away out of the box by Partey. Still Arsenal under pressure here as Trossard clears, but it bounces down and Odegaard is able to pass it back. And there's some relief there because City were really testing Arsenal, and it comes back at Arsenal again here. Marmoush as Bernardo Silva trotting into the area, uses Savinho, and then Savinho back to Gvardiol, who might have survived that little period.
Yeah, and it's the big difference about Arsenal. They kind of play in spurts at the moment. You know, they've got that lead, they're happy just to sit off and let City have the ball. They're not gung-ho, they're not trying to, you know, be that entertaining all the time. They will sit off, and then when they win that ball back, they're looking to break forward, get Havertz in the channel, Martinelli on the run, Trossard on the left, and then try and make something happen. But they'll be looking at the time, thinking 5 minutes till half-time, we're 1-0 up. Let's make sure we go in with that scoreline intact. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. This is our third Premier League commentary of the day on 5 Live after the 2-0 away wins for Tottenham and for Crystal Palace at Manchester United. We've already heard live from Ange Postecoglou and Ruben Amorim. That was round about 4:20 onwards. If you want to go back and listen to that again on BBC Sounds, if you go into the stations and schedules and look for today's schedule, you'll find it there, round about 4:20. And at half-time we're going to hear from Oliver Glasner, Crystal Palace manager, and Archie Gray of Tottenham as well, and reaction from the WSL at half-time. But Manchester City attacking with Foden. Foden left-footed ball, chip to Gvardiol, first time cross from him across the penalty area, and Bernardo Silva arriving, but there are 2 Arsenal men in there, and it's cleared away out for a throw on the far side. I mean, I know Gvardiol bought as a centre-back, you know, acting in that left-back position, but that delivery there on the half volley, first time with his left foot to cross the ball like that is some skill for a centre-back. Brilliant from Gvardiol. High class. Just been told that Erling Haaland has had Arsenal are winning a free kick on the edge of the area. How many touches do you think Haaland has had in the first half? I was thinking that earlier. I would say 3.
It's been recorded as 3.
There you go.
Spot on.
Yeah. It's the hardest player to play against when they're not involved in the game, but then they just hit you, bang, get the goal, and you kind of walk off the pitch thinking, well, I've never laid a glove, I didn't have to do anything. And I think they're the most frustrating players to play against, to be honest.
He has scored 24 goals this season, and he has scored 6 in his last 7 appearances. He doesn't need many touches.
No, I mean, he's rarely left spare, I will say. I think that the 2 centre-backs do make a real focus of tying in with him, which you have to. You can't leave him unattended when the ball's wide. I think Gabriel and Saliba do a good job of that.
Yeah. And what do you make of this with Marmoush coming in? You know, that's actually proper support for Haaland as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's quite nice because Gvardiol, as we just mentioned, is happy to go on the overlap, and he's got a left foot good enough to put good delivery in the box as well. And, you know, let's face it, he feeds off those kind of crosses, doesn't he? So the more they can stick in there, the more chance he's got of getting off on the end of one.
Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. That early goal was all important as Odegaard gives it away. The man who scored the goal gives it away. Savinho tries to take on the recovering Odegaard, who did exceptionally well, came across and made up for his own error, and then takes the ball away, but that's been given away by Havertz. However, it's run kindly for Timber, who is able to hit a long pass to the halfway line, and Akanji heads it forward to Gvardiol infield. Foden is there. Kovacic now. Remember how Kovacic scored the all-important equaliser against Club Brugge to Haaland on the edge of the box. It was a little wide of Foden, but he did exceptionally well there, Foden, to keep possession. Now Bernardo Silva into the box on the right. Mateus Nunes hangs across to the far post. It's headed out to Savinho. Shoots! And Raya goes down and makes the block, and it bounces back out, and Arsenal clear. I thought for a moment there it was past him.
I'm with you. From our angle, it looked like it just squirmed under his body and into the net.
But he made the save. Manchester City come again, looking for the equaliser late in the first half. Deep cross to the back post. It's over Raya. Mateus Nunes takes it down to the back post. Here's the cross. Marmoush was waiting, was cleared away. Kovacic with a bouncing shot, which bounced up and fell beautifully into the path of Raya, who was able to fall forward with the ball tucked into his chest, and says, you can just have a little breather here. I'm going to take as long as I can.
Yeah, it was a nasty deflection that challenged David Raya again, who I have to say reacted brilliantly down to his right-hand side. This time the shot's going into the middle of the goal and it hits an Arsenal player, goes through the legs and then down into the near post. It's going in the back of the net, and he just gets quite a sharp reaction to scoop the ball away.
Yeah, good save. He had to be sharp.
He's had a couple, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. And long pass for Arsenal to the edge of the fourth official just coming forward. Anthony Taylor it is, the fourth official. 1 minute of added time at the end of the first half here, and Arsenal would love to get in 1-0. Stones just turns out of trouble. Savinho passes it forward to Haaland, who is dispossessed by Saliba, and then Haaland chasing Saliba, having lost out to him and heard the mocking Emirates crowd, chases after him, but Saliba actually goes for a long back pass from the centre circle all the way back to Raya.
Yeah, that was Haaland's fourth touch, wasn't it? But then got it robbed off him by Saliba. Good tussle, wasn't it? On the halfway line. Two big lads trying to show their strength.
Yeah, he wasn't taking any risks there, Saliba, was he? With Haaland chasing Mouche, and then Akanji again. Bernardo Silva looks for the cross, but he was closed down. There's the half-time whistle. That's very welcome for Arsenal, who lead 1-0 at the break after that early goal that was rather gifted to Arsenal by Manchester City and tucked into the net by the captain Martin Odegaard.
Yeah, just a little bit of a shake of the head of Odegaard as he's walking off. It doesn't look too happy, and I think Arsenal finished that half suffering a little bit, to be honest. They'll be happy with the scoreline going in at half-time, but I think City have really got a hold of this game now. The last 25 minutes or so of that first half was nearly all Manchester City. Yes, Arsenal had that brilliant opportunity to score, but that's just from a mistake, and if you cut out those mistakes out of the game from City, they've actually been probably the better team in this game so far, and wouldn't deserve to be going in 1-0 down.
Could have a bigger lead, Arsenal. Havertz with a bad miss, really, from 12, 14 yards out, shot wide of the goal when there was Stones and Ortega in his way. Yet at the other end, Raya has made those two very good saves as well, from the Gvardiol header and the deflected shot from Savinho. So half-time here, Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0.
They were in quite charitable moods early on there, Manchester City, and I just wonder, Matt, whether Arsenal might feel that they should be more than 1-0 ahead because of it.
Oh, they should. You know, it's two really bad mistakes with the ball, starting with the goalkeeper playing straight passes at a slow pace when there's a player breathing down the neck of the person receiving it. I know the first one was a crossfield one, but the second one, the Havertz miss, was incredible from Ortega, and what a mistake from Kai Havertz. You have to call it a mistake, because from in the centre forwards position, that's an error. Not to hit the target from that range. I mean, he just made it more complicated than what it actually was. He took his time too long, really. I think he thought about too many options, whereas really, if you're an instinctive centre forward in that position, you don't think about it. You have your first touch and it's bang, it's in the roof of the net, or it's wide, or whatever you choose for your finish. You hit it and you commit to it, and there's no doubt. And you just never quite feel like that with Kai Havertz when he has to think about those opportunities.
I would love to know what Mikel Arteta is saying to his players right now, because as that half wore on, is there a bit of a danger that Arsenal could be, passive's not the right word, but a bit too negative in the second half? They don't want to let City have too much of it.
No, I think they kind of really sat off, didn't they?
Yeah.
And started to box a bit clever, and Arsenal will change the way they play. They'll change the tempo throughout the game to suit the scenario in the game. They're very much a game management kind of team, and they'll do what they need to do to get the job done. But I think if you allow this City team too much confidence, because that's the one thing they're really lacking, that belief that City are normally so dominant. It's not topped up to the full level at the moment at Manchester City. So you'd think really try and keep your foot on them, keep them the low in that sense is your best strategy. The more they allow them the ball, they've got the quality to hurt you, and they've got the quality on the bench in Gundogan and De Bruyne to certainly nick something if they have that kind of confidence.
I don't know if you guys saw the replay of Gabriel celebrating in Haaland's face after the goal.
Yeah.
I think that might be the one to watch for the second half, those two.
Yeah, always one to watch, isn't it? And yeah, he kind of ran past him, didn't he? And I don't know what he said, but he did get in his face a little bit and enjoyed rubbing that one in.
Yeah.
Stay humble, maybe?
I think he must have stayed humble.
Yeah. Whatever he said it very
always
loud.
Humble.
Yeah. Thanks both. Very interesting. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. Then obviously second half commentary to come here on 5 Live. We've got more reaction to Tottenham's 2-0 win at Brentford and Crystal Palace's 2-0 win at Manchester United to come as well. Elsewhere, Bristol Rovers leapfrog Peterborough in League One with a 3-1 victory in the Scottish Premiership. Wins for both Rangers, 4-0 against Ross County, 2 goals for Yanis Hadji, son of the great man there, and Celtic 3-1 winners over Motherwell. Jota with a goal in that game. That won his first since his return. In the Women's Super League, Manchester City 3, Arsenal 4, Brighton 1, Crystal Palace 1, Everton 4, Leicester 1, Liverpool 1, West Ham 0, Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 1, and Tottenham versus Manchester United in full to come at 6:45 on 5 Sports Extra. Those all of today's football scores. Let's get the news now with Nick Atfield.
The voice of the UK.
And the home of the Six Nations.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Steve. Sir Keir Starmer says he wants a reset between the UK and EU as he holds talks with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The Prime Minister insists Britain will not be rejoining the European Union ahead of a visit to Brussels tomorrow. Sir Keir says the Labour government will have a different approach to Europe.
That does not involve a return to the European Union. We had a referendum here on that, and that matter is settled. But I do want to see a close relationship on defence and security, on energy, on trade and our economy.
Both Canada and Mexico say they'll put retaliatory tariffs on goods from the United States. President Trump has approved plans for a 25% tax on imports from Canada and Mexico, admitting there may be some economic pain for Americans, but it'll be worth the price. Michael Ignatieff is a former leader of the Canadian Liberal Party.
Look, the whole thing is just crazy, and we're hoping that Republican congressmen and senators in the United States begin to whisper to him and say, what do you think you're doing here? You're harming your own people and you're going to be reducing your own political support in your own country.
The Home Secretary says artificial intelligence is putting online child abuse on steroids. Yvette Cooper has outlined new laws to try to tackle the threat, including making it illegal to possess, create or distribute AI tools designed to create child sexual abuse material. Police say 4 people who died when a car collided with a building in Colchester early on Saturday morning were all students at Essex University. The 3 men and 1 woman were aged between 21 and 24. And the convicted killer Tony Martin, who shot dead a teenage burglar in his Norfolk home in 1999, has died at the age of 80. That's according to a family friend. Martin was jailed for the murder of 16-year-old Fred Barris, but released 3 years later after the conviction was reduced to manslaughter.
What does it take to go racing in the fastest cars in the world? Oscar Piastri.
Your head's trying to get ripped one way, your body's trying to go another.
Lance Stroll.
It's very extreme in the sense on how close you're racing wheel to wheel.
We've been given unprecedented access to 2 of the most famous names in Formula One, McLaren and Aston Martin.
I'm Landon Norris, racing driver for McLaren Formula One team.
They opened the doors to their factories as the 2024 season reached its peak.
They work to build a beautiful bit of machinery that I get to then go and have fun in.
I'm Josh Hartnett. This is F1 Back at Base. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
And Martin Ødegaard's goal has made it Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0 at half-time in the Premier League. Second half commentary on the way. Already today, Crystal Palace won 2-0 at Manchester United. Jean-Philippe Mateta scored both goals. That is the 7th Premier League defeat for United at Old Trafford this season. Palace move above them into 12th. Here's manager Oliver Glasner.
The game was how we expected it. The players really did so well today and were so focused, concentrated, and we knew that we would get our chances. We had them in the first half as well, but we didn't take them. We encouraged them at halftime, showed them the situations, because we knew if we stay focused like this, if we work so hard, that we will get these situations again. And this happened, and so really I'm pleased with the performance, pleased with the result, and all the credit to the players.
And tell me about Jean-Philippe Mateta. I mean, he had such a massive smile on his face coming up through the tunnel after the game. But, I mean, that is 23 and 37 under you now. Tell us about your relationship and why you feel like it's just working so brilliantly for him.
It's him. We encourage him to make these runs, and again, at the end it looks easy because it's an empty net goal, yeah. But I think he had 20 runs before where he didn't get the ball, yeah. And this is we demand from him, and we always encourage him to do it, and he does it. So he's such a great guy. Yeah, he has the feeling at the moment. He has the confidence to be there where he has to be as a number 9. The way we are playing fits to his style. What he's doing, he scores goals, but not just. I don't reduce him for scoring goals. He's working so hard because I think it was now the third or fourth clean sheet in a row in an away game. And everything what we are doing in our defense starts with the front 3, and he's doing such an amazing job for the team. And it's just the same. Then he gets the reward.
Palace manager Oliver Glasner. 08085 909 693. The lines are open now for 606. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton with you once we're done at the Emirates. And Robbie's with us now. Afternoon.
Afternoon, Steve. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. What about Manchester United at home? That is now 5 Premier League home defeats for Ruben Amorim, which is one less than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his entire time in charge.
Well, the stats don't look good, do they, Steve?
No.
You know, in the Premier League this season, they've conceded more goals at home than Leicester City have as well. I think it's the final third. They had 17 shots, but Henderson only made 2 saves. I think the no cutting edge in the final third is a huge problem for Manchester United. Listen, but I want to talk about Crystal Palace. Was a great performance. So Crystal Palace fans, I'm sure they'll be ringing in. But Manchester United, you could see signs. 3 wins in a row. You know. Manchester United playing with a false 9 at home.
Well, why is he moving Kobbie Mainoo after he was so good in the 10? That I thought was mad.
I done a piece in a for my column saying that Kobbie Mainoo and Ahmad as 2 10s would be great. You know, when you've got, he was brilliant midweek. Kobbie Mainoo. He's not a false 9. He was making those runs from a 10, in midweek, and he was the best player on the park. So to put him as a false 9 at home, Manchester United playing with a false 9 at home.
What's that say to Højlund and Xerxes as well?
Well, it says a lot. It says a lot. It does say a lot, and you've got to look at the recruitment once again. I know they've signed a new player. Spurs, what a win. I think now relegation fears have gone for Spurs. Chris will be happy. What a win it was for Spurs. And this game at the minute, Haaland only 6 touches so far. He needs to get involved more. And I've got to say, save of the season, Raya. What a save.
You think?
It
was massive, wasn't it?
What a save. Can Arsenal hold on? It's going to be an interesting second half. 08285 909 693, Steve.
Cheers, Rob. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate.
606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Once we're done at the Emirates, second half commentary on the way. Tottenham ended a 7-game winless run in the Premier League, as Robbie was saying. 2-0 for them at Brentford. A Vitaly Janel own goal and Son Heung-min's second half strike moves Spurs up to 14th. Here's Tottenham defender Archie Gray.
Don't really like to think too much about turning points and stuff like that, because every result matters, and the losing streak that we went on, it wasn't good enough, but like I said, we can hopefully keep this winning way going on into the week and keep it going on in the league as well. So yeah, like I said, we're just going to keep working hard, and we don't think too far ahead, and we focus on the next game. So yeah.
And I said in the commentary, you're a teenager, but you've got 35 years in your head. That's the way it looked, the way you read the game. Is that because of your background, that you've just been born into it?
Partly, yeah. It's just, I'm lucky to have the family members that I've got, and before I could even walk, and probably before I could even think I was given a ball to kick around or chuck around, and I've always had my parents and my granddad, my great uncle. They've always helped me and stuff like that. But when you see today, it's it's a credit to the rest of the back four and Tony as well, and everyone on the pitch, to be fair, especially Ben. I thought he taught me through the game really well, and especially when it's a different position for me, it's really, really important that I have someone speaking to me all the time. And Radu did it before, and Mickey did it the other game, and Ben did it for me this game, and just speaking me through it. And it's a credit to everyone for this result, and it just proves that our hard work, we just need to keep working harder and harder.
Archie Gray with Match of the Day's Jonathan Pearce. Chelsea are 10 points clear at the top of the WSL thanks to victory over Aston Villa. Sarah Mehling's own goal gave Chelsea a 1-0 win. New signing Keira Walsh made her debut coming on as a second half sub, and afterwards she spoke to Joe Curry.
Well, Kira and Grass, there's a lot of people who are delighted to see you back in the Women's Super League. What's it like to be back, and what was it about Chelsea that made you want to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy to be back in England. I think it's such a competitive league. I think you could see it today, but yeah, I think what brought me back to Chelsea is they always find a way to win, and I'm ambitious. I want to win trophies, and I feel like that club matches my ambition.
When you were getting warmed up during the game, you told us you were freezing. Have you missed this weather?
No, not at all. I think to say I'm from the north, I'm definitely not used to it anymore, so yeah, hopefully I'll take a bit of time and I'll be all right after that.
Chelsea are unbeaten since Sonia Bompasta became their coach. What was it about working under her that also made you want to come to this club?
I think, she can still make me improve as a player. I'm still only 27 and feel like I've got a lot more to improve on, and when I spoke to her, I think, she can do that. She can give me the confidence, and yeah, just being a part of this team and playing with those players and seeing the game today is why I joined.
Kira Walsh with Joe Curry. Arsenal are up to second after a 4-3 win over Manchester City. Manchester United will go above Arsenal if they avoid defeat at Tottenham this evening. 6:45 kick-off, full commentary on 5 Sports Extra. Other full times, Brighton 1, Crystal Palace 1, Everton 4, Leicester 1 and Liverpool 1, West Ham 0. In the Scottish Premiership, Celtic maintained their 10-point lead at the top with a 3-1 win at Motherwell. Rangers beat Ross County 4-0 at Ibrox. They stay second in the league. And at the Dublin Racing Festival, State Man won the Irish champion hurdle for the 3rd year running after the favourite Lossiemouth. Fel, you are right up to date, and as I look up, the players are retaking the pitch at the Emirates. John?
Yes, Arsenal sprinting out of the tunnel, still waiting for Manchester City. Welcome back to the Emirates Stadium, where I am tucked in alongside Matt Upson here at the back of the lower tier, just behind and to the right of the red tunnel, where we do now see the sky blue shirts of Manchester City emerging. Erling Haaland, one of the last men out in discussions with Akanji. Phil Foden just behind them. Don't think there are any changes, Matt, are there, at half-time? So the team's Raya in goal for Arsenal, who's made 2 very good saves. Robbie Savage says the save of the season from him, from the Gvardiol header. Back 4, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Lewis Skelly. Then Partey with Odegaard and Rice, Martinelli and Trossard either side of Havertz. Martin Odegaard, the goal scorer in the 2nd minute, and Manchester City with Ortega in goal, who's had some dicey moments. Stones, Akanji and Gvardiol. Mateus Nunes and Savinho wide. Bernardo Silva and Kovacic in the middle. Foden and Marmoush. And then Erling Haaland with just the 6 touches so far as the ball bounces out of play down in the Manchester City left back area, just next to the corner flag actually. And Arsenal, red shirts with the white sleeves, white shorts, red socks, and Manchester City in their first choice colours as well. And in the second half, Arsenal attacking towards the North Bank stand, which is to our left, which is what they like to do. So 1-0 it is as the ball is played back after Manchester City take the throw but lose possession. And Raya, he'll be feeling good about himself after those 2 saves. Long pass from him. John Stones has got to get to the bouncing ball on the edge of the area. He does, and he heads it with an assuredness to goalkeeper Ortega, who overarms it out to Mateus Nunes. So, Matthew Upson, what about it?
Yeah, I was just looking at Arsenal, not afraid to go long there, David Raya, and I think that indicates that the mentality and the magnitude of what they feel this game is. Arsenal, they'll do whatever they can to win it, and they don't care how.
Fine pass from Foden down the right-hand side for Mateus Nunes. Still hundreds and hundreds of people inside the stadium filing down the steps towards their seats as Manchester City have possession inside the Arsenal. One of those matches where we've seen him down, crouching right down, rubbing his head. Here is Foden to the right-hand side to Mateus Nunes, who's going to knock it back in field towards Foden with sleeves right down, gripping the ends of his sleeves, just like Dennis Law, as we were describing a few weeks ago. Kovacic now to the right-hand side to Mateus Nunes, back onto his left foot, dummied to cross. He's got Lewis Skelly, the 18-year-old, in front of him. City keeping possession inside the Arsenal half. And then actually all the way back to Kovacic, who's being closed down again by Odegaard doing his pressing thing. But Kovacic finds Stones, who steps forward with the ball, gives it to Savinho on the left-hand side. Savinho moving in field with his orange boots on, the young Brazilian. Back to Kovacic. Kovacic forward to Foden. Foden just outside the box, very central. Arsenal have got so many red and white shirts behind the ball, so City are going to have to try and find a way through. Savinho now back to the bearded Gvardiol, and then back it goes again towards the halfway line. Long crossfield pass John Stones out towards Mateus Nunes, who allows it to bounce, and it skips up off the turf, really kicked up above his head and out of play for a throw.
Yeah, not seen enough from City's wide players yet in this game. Savinho, Mamouche, certainly Savinho out there with Timber, who is on a yellow card, if I remember from the first half. And I think that those kind of situations, he just had one there where you think, go on then, face him up, test him, he's on a yellow card, go at him 1v1, and it's a little bit safe at the moment from City. You want to see more from their wide players in taking players on.
As a high ball is sent up towards Haaland on the edge of the area, but Arsenal are able to deal with that. Gabriel and Haaland together again. That's been quite a tussle, hasn't it, which is currently being won by the Arsenal man quite convincingly. City take the throw. Foden back centrally. I think these are awkward moments, dangerous moments for Arsenal here early in the second half.
Well, the pattern's continued, hasn't it? Arsenal sat off, not interested in really dominating the game with possession, happy to defend as a unit. They do that extremely well, but if City do kick into gear, one of their players does produce that little moment where they go past someone, you're giving them too many opportunities with the ball, and possession-wise, they just dominated the start of this second half.
City still with it. 5 Live on the World Service listeners back with us in the second half here at the Emirates in North London. The blue sky's gone now, it's dark as Kovacic plays it through to Haaland. Haaland with a touch back into the box, and Marmouche trying to find a way through, but too many Arsenal defenders in there. And in the end, it bounced off the Manchester City man Marmouche and all the way through for a goal kick.
Well, Haaland's such a great focal point here. Kovacic slips the ball into him. You think he's going to have a quick snapshot with his left foot, but Saliba gets out wide. He deals really well with those little 1v1s down the sides of the 18-yard box. Saliba, very mobile for a centre-back, doesn't dive in and just puts the right amount of pressure on Mamouche.
Yeah, well defended by Saliba, that. And back it goes to the Manchester City goalkeeper Ortega. No Ederson today. If you weren't listening in the first half, Ederson is not fully fit, Manchester City told us. And the Real Madrid matches approaching. You'll hear them on 5 Live, first leg in Manchester. And if they're able to get through that, Manchester City, it would be either Atletico Madrid or Leverkusen, by a Leverkusen in the round of 16. But I think, Matt, that is quite a big if, as City, Lewis Skelly loses it on the halfway line. Foden moving infield. Foden, Lewis Skelly's back at him, nibbling away at him. Odegaard's helping him out, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, which Martin Odegaard is not happy about. He turns, protests to the referee. Referee banks, but it's a free kick.
Well, I think Arsenal felt they put just about the right amount of pressure on Foden, and I'd agree. I think Foden throws himself to the floor to win the foul. It's always difficult when a player's running across the pitch with the ball, and you want to, have a nibble at the ball, but you also want to lean and bounce him and put him off. And Miles Skelly does that just about perfectly, really, just to unsettle Foden. And then he went to ground, which I think that's what the Arsenal players were really disappointed about. The referee gave the foul.
Free kick just left of centre for Manchester City, of the middle of the Arsenal half. Marmouche runs over it. Phil Foden left footed in. That's headed up and away by Havertz. Hasn't cleared the penalty area. Headed further away by Rice. Marmouche nods it back. Akanji helps it forward, but helps it with too much force, and it bounces harmlessly through to Raya, who, with one of those big hands, passes the ball out, sort of throws it flat with the palm of his hand to Partey. And Arsenal are able to enjoy a little bit of possession. Right now, Manchester City with 61% possession, but Arsenal winning 1-0 as Arsenal come forward towards the edge of the box. Partey plays it out here to the left-hand side. Trossard is able to get it down. And then up comes Gabriel from the back. Gabriel walks forward with the ball. Arsenal supporters behind that goal to our left, quite a number, start twirling their scarves. Trossard with a cross into the penalty area, but Odegaard can't keep it in at the far post as it bounced through for a goal kick to Manchester City.
It's a big deflection on that cross. I mean, Odegaard and Trossard really having to go at the referee. That ball looped up in the air. I think there was a big deflection off of Foden, who was trying to block it. So I think the complaint was it should have been a corner, because it did just bounce out of play.
And glanced off his shin,
nicks off Foden, changes the trajectory of the ball, really loops and dips down at the back post, and then Odegaard doesn't keep it in, but last touch is off Phil Foden.
Got away with one there. Arsenal continue to lead by 1-0. Lines open for 606. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton taking your calls on 08085 909 693 to book your call. Hashtag BBC 606 on social media. Or you can text 85058. Trossard is being put under pressure by Mateus Nunes and actually almost ends up taking it all the way back into his own left back area. Back to Raya, passes it out to Gabriel. And then again, Gabriel back to Raya. Got to be careful here, Arsenal. Playing it out with Marmoush and Foden, trying the press. Raya passes it past Marmoush. That was dicey.
That's well played, though. I know what he's saying. It always feels that way, but it felt really measured, and the movement off the ball, the space was there.
As Havertz now through to Odegaard, but Guardiola did enough. But Odegaard trying to win it back again, centre field. Bernardo Silva, though, with his crossfield pass, couldn't find Savinho, and Arsenal have got it back again, halfway inside their own half. Pep Guardiola, with his jacket buttoned up, turns away, palms apart. Offside flag against Martinelli. 1-0 it is. The Football Daily Premier League review will be available tonight on BBC Sounds, as is the case every Sunday night from BBC Sounds. If you subscribe to the app, subscribe for free. All live BBC Radio there, and all of the podcasts as well. I hear the Arne Slot interview with Gary Lineker is very good. That's on the Football Daily feed, as well as Alan Shearer with Alexander Isak. City, Foden into the area. Lovely turn from Savinho, right foot across. Haaland with a header, it's in! It's the equaliser! Beautiful little cross from Savinho, picked out the big Norwegian, and he was ruthless. And off he goes into the corner with his Manchester City teammates to celebrate. And that has come from the early second half pressure for the champions. Haaland hits 25 for the season for City. And it's 1-1 here.
Well, it's been coming, and it's a big problem for Arsenal now, it really is. They've been sitting off far too much, and eventually, at last, Manchester City have got in a wide area and created, through a good little piece of football and wing play, an opportunity for Haaland, who doesn't half get up well. I have to say, he's backpedaling a little bit. The ball's dinked to the back post with Savinho's right foot. Saliba is just out of position. He's behind Haaland, who makes a really nice move to step in front of him, but he just switches off for a fraction. The Arsenal centre-back, and it's a towering header from the big Manchester City forward. Gets up high, hangs in the air, pressure from Saliba behind, but just cushions the ball back across the goal and almost loops it over David Raya. Textbook header, a brilliant goal actually.
Yeah, he got the right side from his point of view of Saliba, who was powerless really. As soon as Haaland goes up, and that leap that he has is truly prodigious, isn't it? And Saliba was left behind him, totally the wrong place, and Haaland was able to head it inside the 6-yard box. Nothing Raya could do about that, although it's been given away by Foden. Partey, edge of the area, right foot shot, it's in! Arsenal back in front! What a response that is from Mikel Arteta's team! And Thomas Partey, Ortega was left flat-footed. Whether there was a little deflection, I think there was, perhaps of John Stones. That took it beyond the City goalkeeper, and no sooner are City level than Arsenal now back in front.
Well, what a turnaround. I mean, this game is here, there and everywhere at the moment. You think Manchester City just getting right back into this, and in the pound seats, it's a really poor giveaway from Phil Foden. Crossfield pass again, and it's a wicked deflection off the back of John Stone back and lunges forwards. Sometimes you just want to stand up straight and be square when you try and block a ball. Because he turns his back, the ball ricochets. It's a decent hit from Partey, but it's going straight at Ortega, and it spins off the back of John Stones, loops up in the air and goes right into the far corner. Ortega absolutely no chance with the deflection, but Manchester City creating their own problems again with Phil Foden giving that crossfield pass away to Partey was so poor.
And so it is Arsenal 2, Manchester City 1. And again, this is typical of the way that things have gone for Manchester City since things began to turn against them in the autumn. that is typical of
how many times have we seen it?
Yeah,
seen it so many times, and you know, it's a real weakness that they have at the moment. I'm just looking at the stats, and I think City have had nearly like 65% possession here. You cannot give Manchester, even if they're not in great form, which they aren't, you can't give them that amount of ball, and Arsenal treading very dangerously.
So 2-2 in Manchester in September. Now Arsenal back in front here, 2-1, but Gvardiol on his right foot, little ball into Marmoush, left side of the area, but defender goes down. Gabriel, excellent, blocks it inside the box, out for a throw on the left-hand side. City looking to up it here, trying to bring it back. Arsenal's second goal came, I think, 2 minutes or so after Manchester City drew level through Haaland's goal. His 20 milestone with that goal, his 250th of his club career in his 313th appearance as Foden passes it forward. Odegaard, but Partey, long pass through the middle for Havertz to run onto, but Akanji was there first, coming across in front of the German international, and City play it back to the goalkeeper.
I mean, who cares how many touches of the ball you have when you've got numbers like that, John? What you just read out about Haaland, they're just phenomenal. You can see why Manchester City have committed to a 9-year contract.
Can't you just? So that's 250 and 313 appearances. and just to compare, Jimmy Greaves reached 250 in 304.
Yeah.
Here
it's phenomenal.
Lewis Skelly, which shows you what a good player Jimmy Greaves was. As the ball is played through for Arsenal to Havertz. Trossard back to Havertz. And Gabriel on the ball. The ball through to Partey. Partey now, Havertz through the middle, but the shot was blocked, and Marmoush was able to tidy up after it deflected to him on the edge of the penalty area. I thought that it was going to open up for Havertz.
I like that he took it early, John. You know, I'd rather see that kind of decisive action than dwelling on it and not sure. I mean, it rolled into his path. It was a nice little pass from Thomas Partey, and Havertz tried to strike it early with his left foot.
So Arsenal back in front. Briefly, it was level at 1-1. 5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. On this now cold evening in North London. Cross from Mateus Nunes, headed down and away, and then cleared away by Trossard towards the halfway line. The Arsenal supporters to our left, in front of us, highly engaged in this.
They can't believe it, John. I think when that City equaliser goes in, you're actually thinking they're in a bit of trouble here, Arsenal. They're not really getting hold of the ball, they're not really probing or having any kind of piece of the game. It's all Man City, and you go level, you can see the goal, you think this is going to be an uphill battle. To go back ahead so quickly, what a gift that is. I mean, the Arsenal fans are absolutely delighted, but very fortunate to be in this position.
Arsenal coming into today 9 points behind Liverpool again. It is essential for their hopes of winning the title for the first time since 2004. The slim hopes really that they have of that happening, but they are winning. Manchester City, though, attacking, asking questions. Savino into the penalty area, but that runs away from Foden through for a goal kick to Arsenal, who I'm sure again will just try to break up this Manchester City momentum. Incidentally, since Arsenal last won the league, Matt, Manchester City have won it 8 times since Arsenal were last league champions. Here's Raya with the goal kick into the centre circle. It's allowed to bounce. Havertz, and then headed forward by Rice. Trossard is through the middle, but that comes off Akanji. The ball loops forward. Rice heads it out to the right-hand side. Martinelli, who scored the winning goal in this match last season, plays it back to Odegaard. Now Lewis Skelly with Rice backing away on the left side of the box. Rice then places a pass into the path of Thomas Partey. Even though it was a deflection, it will be Thomas Partey's goal. I'm sure it was on target. Rice then back to Lewis Skelly, who turns. Lewis Skelly into the air. Right foot shot. Ortega can't keep it out. What a goal for Arsenal. What a goal for the 18-year-old. What a time to score his first senior goal in an Arsenal shirt. He's had some season, Miles Lewis Skelly. He might well have been suspended for this match, but he's not. He's here, he's scored, and it's Arsenal 3, champions Manchester City 1.
Well, what a moment for this young man. And how cool has he taken that goal? I mean, his celebration's cool enough as he runs off and sits cross-legged and looks like he's kind of meditating by himself, sat cross-legged on the floor. But what a moment this is. I love the way he takes the ball. It's a great ball from Rice into him, but he knows his surroundings perfectly because he receives it on the back foot and straight away turns into the space, all in one lovely swift movement. Then he's driving at John Stones. He shifts it onto his weaker right foot, but then hits a decent effort into the far post. I think you can keep in. Ortega gets a good hand to it, should be a little bit stronger, but there's enough power on the shot from Lewis Skelly to take it in off the post into the back of the net. What a moment for him, and he's been outstanding in this game.
What a moment of his career so far. Very, very early days for this 18-year-old Miles Lewis Skelly, and what a celebration as well, as you pointed out, Matt, going down into the meditation position with his legs crossed. Who is it that normally likes to have a celebration like that? Remember? Erling Haaland. They've thought about that one, Arsenal, and even though he's of these tender years, Lewis Skelly, scoring a goal like that, he didn't forget the idea about the celebration.
It was a humble celebration, wasn't it?
Terribly. As Kovacic wins the ball back. Manchester City now 3-1 down here, staring at their 7th league defeat of the season for the champions. Mateus Nunes back to Bernardo Silva. Now back to Mateus Nunes on the right footed cross over Haaland, headed away by Timber at the back post. Haaland leapt for it, but not high enough this time. Comes back though at the Arsenal defence. Savinho in possession. Savinho back onto his right foot, actually uses his left to give it to Kovacic. Now Manchester City 3-1 down. They need a quick response like Arsenal found against them when it was 1-1. Foden back central. Arsenal have got everyone though back. Saying to Manchester City, you're going to have to find a way through. Stones out to Mateus Nunes. Listen to the noise inside the Emirates Stadium all around us here, sweeping around the 3 tiers. Stones. Out goes the pass to Savinho. They're on the back foot now, Arsenal, but they have a good lead, a 2-goal cushion with those 2 goals from Partey, the deflected shot, and then Lewis Skelly within 6 minutes of one another. It was 1-1, and then in the space of 6 minutes it became 3-1 Arsenal.
I mean, it really has swayed the game massively because City were in a lot of control and in a very strong position to get a good result here, and they've kind of thrown it away. I mean, the second Arsenal goal was a poor mistake from Phil Foden, but you know, it's too easy, the third goal as well, really, John. I mean, they should be set and ready. It's a nice pass from Rice. Lewis Skelly's drifted into that area, but they're not out there shutting down that space quick enough and dealing with the situation as well as what Arsenal have done in terms of the back four and getting tight and narrowing angles. They just haven't done it as well, Manchester City, but had so much of the ball.
Arsenal 3, Manchester City 1. This is 5 Live on the World Service. Kovacic passing the ball out to Mateus Nunes. Mateus Nunes, ball in field to Savinho. Savinho's pass, Guardiola's going to do well to control that, and even with that excellent touch that he has, I mean, it was above waist height, up went his left leg, got a touch, but couldn't bring it down, and it's out of play for a throw.
Yeah, it would have been touch of the season, never mind save of the season. That would, if he'd have brought that one out the sky, Guardiola.
Throw into Arsenal in their own right, and walks down that little slope and sinks back into the red and white seats.
You'd love to know what he's saying to his assistant there, wouldn't you?
Well, they've got their hands over their mouth.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we can't lip read.
There's things that he's not. If I'm honest, I think there's like an intensity and physicality that they lack a little bit, certainly in defensive situations, which has cost them a lot. But it just makes them a little bit soft when they get into that position where they have momentum and you think they're going to kick on, and then the sloppy goal goes in and they're just not quite at it.
Well, we saw it in Paris, didn't we?
We did.
You and I were there.
Yep.
A couple of weeks ago when PSG came back at them. Kovacic challenged by Havertz. Well, that's not a free kick. He's got the ball, and Arsenal break, and Rice plays it through to Martinelli. He's a little wide, right side of the box, shoots, and Ortega makes the save, diving down to his right. and it bounces to Trossard. Trossard turns Akanji, then Akanji in with the challenge and catches the Belgian. Down he goes. Free kick Arsenal in the Manchester City right back area, clutching his left shin.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva just lost his head a bit there, to be honest. Goes in, he's frustrated, kicks through Trossard. I don't think he picked up a yellow card for that, Bernardo Silva, did I? Couldn't see too many people kind of stood up in the way, but
have to get up now.
Yeah, but it was a great chance for Martinelli. Lovely break from Arsenal. Declan Rice driving with the ball, he does it so well, comes onto his left foot and then sees the angle pass to Martinelli wide on the right, and Ortega makes a comfortable enough save with his right hand. It's a nice height, the shot from Martinelli across the goal, but Arsenal will just sit off now. I mean, they've done it all game, and City are going to have to be wary of that counter-attack because they will break quickly, Arsenal.
No, I don't think it was a yellow card.
No.
So free kick to Arsenal, and they are slowing it down as much as possible. Trossard spent a good while on the pitch, and now Rice is accidentally on purpose put the ball in the wrong place.
Yeah, it's a corner set-up, isn't it? So literally so close to the corner flag.
Peter Banks says to Declan Rice, you're going to have to move it 2 or 3 yards, which he does. So that slows it down, and now still can't take the free kick from near the corner flag because there are Martinelli and Mateus Nunes, perhaps. Guardiola is there as well, and so Arsenal prepared to take this free kick. Right, it is like a corner, and it's speared to the near post, and it's cleared away by Mateo Kovacic. Just volleys it straight back out towards the left-hand side where Arsenal have the throw. 20 minutes to play here, but Arsenal, I probably hesitate, Matt, to say comfortable.
Yeah,
you can never take anything granted.
It's probably as comfortable as what they're going to be or have ever been in this fixture for quite a while, I'd have to say.
Throw in that new goal scorer Miles Lewis Skelly takes. Bernardo Silva comes in, just pops it out of play, and we're going to see Kevin De Bruyne and James McAtee come onto the field. Transfer window closes tomorrow. There's been quite a lot of talk about McAtee perhaps moving on, and he's coming on now. Throw-in taken by Arsenal. City have won it back. Foden. Kovacic is under severe pressure here. He's lost out to Odegaard. It's a free kick. It's given us a free kick. Martin Odegaard is hopping mad.
Yeah.
He is.
He's going to get yellow card
for that reaction, and now he's even more angry. Arms thrown in the air. And more arms in the air from Odegaard. Yellow card though for the Arsenal captain.
Yeah, he has such intensity with his tackling, and I think he gets in with Kovacic, who dives to the floor, and it's a strange tackle. He kind of back heels his foot around the front of Kovacic. He may make a little bit of contact with Kovacic before he wins the ball, which I think is the reason why Peter Banks gives the free kick, but he's really unhappy so much. And not often you see that from Odegaard, is there? But he gets a yellow card for that kind of reaction. He normally manages to contain that, but so such is the magnitude of the game.
That even Scandinavian temperament.
Yeah.
These two changes now for Manchester City. Foden and Marmoush, two players who you would say would be potential routes back into the game for Manchester City, as De Bruyne and McAtee come on to replace them. So that's 2 appearances for Marmoush.
Came down. Are these the dark arts then, John? Is this what we're talking about? Just taking your time with the corner, stuff like that? Is that,
I think,
seen as a dark art?
I think so. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, I'll expect a bit of that in the next 20 minutes or so, and taking a bit of time with a throw in, and David Raya, mate, waste a little bit of time, but this is how they grind teams down sometimes, and I think Arsenal got many different sides to how they play, and this is just one of them.
They all employ the dark art. Show me a top club.
True.
Show me any club.
Yeah.
It doesn't employ them. So it's a corner. Odegaard got right underneath that. Ortega comes, gets a punch, still in the area, bounces down. There's a collision in the box as well, but it's taken away by Savinho, but he's shown too much of that to Trossard, who was able to squirrel in and win it back, and then Raya's ball downfield is taken down by Guardiola.
Squirreled in.
He did.
Yeah, good term.
Yeah.
He's had a good game actually, the Squirrel. He's been all over the pitch, to be honest.
Much like her.
Yes.
Yeah, minus the bushy tail. 3-1 to Arsenal. Here's a Kanji. And then Mateus Nunes. So time is beginning to run out for Manchester City, who have not lost in the Premier League since before Christmas. It's been a better run for them in the Premier League, despite their struggles late on in the Champions League. And that defeat in Paris, the last defeat in the Premier League, was at Villa Park just before Christmas. Miles Lewis-Skelly runs away from Haaland and wins a free kick. Haaland, was that a little tug? Kovacic came in with a challenge as well. But he's the hero, he's the new hero, Miles Lewis-Skelly.
Well, confidence is through the roof. He's twisting and turning out from the left-back position, driving in with the ball, seeing Haaland come, thinking, right, I'll have you as well. I'll get my arm up and I'll try and smash you out the way as I'm going through. Haaland fouls him. I mean, what a game he's having. I mean, you feel for someone like Calafiori, who's come into the team, hasn't been able to get a rhythm going.
With his injuries
With his injuries, I mean, he's done really well when he's played. I like him as a player, but hasn't been fit. And that little door opens and someone like Lewis-Skelly walks in and goes, bang, I'll grab that position. And now Calafiori has got one heck of a fight to get back in the team.
He has. Well, a little door opened for him inside the Manchester City penalty area, didn't it? Where he worked his way through.
It was open more than ajar.
Yes, it was. And Lewis-Skelly scoring his first senior competitive goal for Arsenal in his 19th appearance. This is only his 11th start for Arsenal. And that's the confidence of youth. 3-1 Arsenal lead. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. On 5 Live, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton standing by to take your calls on 606, the most popular football phone-in the UK. 08085 909 693 to speak to them, and we'll be bringing you as well during 606 with a bit of luck, touch wood, the live interviews, which will be quite a contrast if it stays like this. Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola, so listen out for that. And all of the details on today's football on the football pages of the BBC Sport website and app. I can see our own Phil McNulty tapping away on his keyboard just to our right.
Squirreling away
with his Panama hat on. Here is Akanji. Kovacic through to the edge of the area, but it bounces away from Savinho, and it's passed forward by Partey for Martinelli. Martinelli speeding. Stones and Akanji are back. Still Martinelli, and then left foot shot is buried by Havertz. 4-1 now Arsenal. What a day for them. Pit them to the Premier League seasons are being dispatched in style today at the Emirates. 4-1 it is, and Manchester City are plunged into another crisis.
Well, Lewis-Skelly with the meditation style celebration, very humble. Not too sure about that one from Kai Havertz, the more caveman-like knee slide into the corner flag, punching his chest, thumping his chest, shall I say, in delight that he's put one in the back of the net, made up for that missed opportunity in the first half. It's a counter-attack that's been happening all second half. They catch City cold, into Havertz, cut back inside onto his left foot. John Stones just can't get close enough to him as he's trying to put the brakes on to stop him coming inside. The momentum's there, and it's a nice left-footed finish into the far post corner. He strokes it home really calmly. He just doesn't think about it. It's more an instinctive finish from Havertz, and Arsenal are in total control now.
And I think part of the feeling in that sliding on his knees celebration from Kai Havertz was probably frustration and disappointment with himself that he wasn't able to take that chance in the first half, as you said, Matt.
Yeah, because it would feel responsible. That's his job. That's what was in the team for those opportunities. That's like a centre-back or a goalkeeper making a mistake to concede a goal. It's the same thing. So he wanted to put that right, and he has. I'm pleased for him that he's put one in the back of the net.
15 goals for him now this season, and that surpasses his total of last season. And he's now scored in 3 consecutive home matches, Kai Havertz, and that should put the seal on it for Arsenal. It should put the seal on it. Manchester City, De Bruyne plays one over the top for Haaland, but that's got too much on it, and it will just run away through to Raya. who's able to pick it up. And Arsenal now, and again, also part of the feeling, Pep Guardiola comes out, he looks exasperated.
You look at Gabriel and Saliba, they're just in that, peak game form, aren't they? They're a little bit closer to stop the shot. City, you're just off that at the moment.
So 4-1, Arsenal lead here. And this is another day where Manchester City have shipped goals. To say, you and I saw them in Paris a couple of weeks ago, let in those 4 goals that went bang, 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 bang into the back of the City net. Remember the 4-0 at home to Tottenham. Remember the 4-1 away in Lisbon against Sporting. This is so unlike them.
Yeah, it is. It is. They've just lost that ability to really compete in those key areas of the pitch, and that is certainly in their defensive box. When you've got Haaland on the pitch, he's always going to compete well in the attacking box, but defensively in their own 80-yard box, they're just not tired physical enough.
And yes, they continue to have these injury problems, but so does everybody. As Odegaard plays it through now, Arsenal looking for a 5th, but Stones is able to get there ahead of Havertz, and then in comes the challenge from Guardiola. But with that challenge, he's put it out for a corner to Arsenal.
I'll tell you what, there's a good 15 minutes or so left in this game. I wouldn't say that the goal tally has stopped yet at the moment. City look really shell-shocked and on the back foot, and Arsenal relaxed, calm, aggressive in what they're doing. This crowd want more.
These City players who are out there look quite downcast, don't they? Slumped shoulders.
The body language is not good.
Corner to Arsenal then. Where's Gabriel? Near the penalty spot he is. Gabriel then trots to the back post. Corner to be taken by Odegaard. It's another one of those scooped high ones to the near post, headed away by Guardiola. Comes out into the area. A sort of scissor kick effort goalwards for Arsenal from Gabriel, and then the ball is cleared back towards the halfway line and all the way back to Raya.
That is from Raya.
Lovely turn for Saliba, who turns away. Pep Guardiola head down, turns away also as Timber has it down the right. And it does have the feeling that Arsenal could freewheel here. There is that feeling inside the stadium here with 10 minutes to play. You can hear the atmosphere inside the ground.
Well, when your goalkeepers are pulling out disguised reverse passes and breaking lines through the midfield when he's outside his box, you know that confidence and the feeling is hot. Stadium, and Arsenal look like they're cruising now.
Arsenal have won just one of their last 18 Premier League matches against Manchester City. Lost 13 of them. Lost 13 out of 18. Not today. Arsenal are having their day here in North London. Odegaard now turns 25 yards out. He started the scoring. Ball right across the penalty area from Timber. That's blocked in the box. Out to the far side. Arsenal doing this without Bukayo Saka as well. We should add. Such an important man as it's given away to party by Manchester City. And Arsenal continue. Odegaard brilliantly turns away from Savinho onto his left foot, tries to cross, that's blocked, comes out again. Arsenal man gets there first ahead of Haaland, and that's given us a free kick. Haaland just easing into the challenge on Gabriel, and it's a free kick to Arsenal in the middle of the Manchester City half. 4-1 Arsenal lead.
Haaland just offering his hand to Gabriel to help him up off the ground. I think Gabriel grabbed hold of his shorts and explained something as he puts his boot back on, because Haaland trod on the back of his heel, I think, and as he tumbled him to the ground. And he's done his bit, Haaland, and got his goal, but other than that, there hasn't been much to shout about for this Manchester City team that have dominated huge passages of this game. In terms of possession, I mean, it's really balanced out since the third goal went in, and I'm sure Arsenal now have just got their percentage a little bit higher, but City with near 65% of possession when they scored.
Arsenal going to make their first changes now. Mikel Arteta is actually going to substitute Martin Odegaard, who is on a yellow card, so that probably is a factor. And Leandro Trossard also is going to head back to the hutch. And Marino and Waneri will come on. Waneri, fresh from scoring his first goal in the Champions League in midweek, he's cheered on.
Yeah, another promising top young player into the team. I mean, it's been a brilliant season for Arsenal in that sense. Lewis Skelly and him really established himself as the future of this Arsenal team.
So Waneri will go across there into the Bukayo Saka position on the right, so Martinelli will come across to the left.
Yep.
And play will resume with a free kick. 6:06, about 15 minutes or so away. 08085 909 693 to join Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Free kick taken to Martinelli. Martinelli's cross to the back post. Guardiola gets up high. He knew Gabriel was behind him. Got a header on it. Doesn't go out of play. Gabriel gets there first, keeps it in play, and then plays it through to Timber. Timber into the box, but Kovacic does very well, actually. Good tackle back in his own penalty area and work it out. And you can hear the Arsenal supporters doing what the Liverpool fans did, actually, if you remember, at Anfield, as Arsenal win another corner off Kovacic.
Well, that just epitomises the moment. Kovacic under real pressure in his own box, can't get rid of the ball as 3 red shirts swarmed around him to win it back.
Corner's taken short, unusually for Arsenal. Played back to Saliba, corner of the box. Yes, remember at Anfield when the Liverpool supporters sang "Sacked in the Morning." Pep Guardiola, remember putting his 6 fingers up.
Yep.
But he's keeping his hands here in his pockets, which I think is probably wise.
Yep, I would say. I mean, he's quite a... Again, you look at body language, it's a little bit downcast, hands in the pocket, head's a bit down, it's a little bit slumped, understandably. I mean, it's been a difficult period for the Manchester City boss, and I think he's harboured a lot of responsibility himself, but I just feel there's too many City players that are not at their peak and at their best this season, and that for me is clear to see at times.
Are you Tottenham in disguise now? Is the song that is being sung by the Arsenal supporters. Manchester City have got 2 matches in the coming weeks against Real Madrid, who admittedly lost themselves last night, but still top of the Spanish league.
That's actually a really interesting fixture, isn't it?
I'm told that Rudiger was injured last night, which would be a big loss for Real Madrid. However, Manchester City, fragile Manchester City, as Waneri might have just been caught there by Bernardo Silva after he passed the ball away, but he kept his feet. All credit to him for doing that.
Yeah, they miss a fit and fully pumped up Ruben Diaz, don't they? Think how well he's played for Man City the past 2 or 3 seasons. I think his physicality and how he defends, there's I don't know how long he's out for, but
I don't think the suggestion is that maybe not too far away for Diaz.
What, for Madrid maybe?
Well, we'll see. And Ake as well, of course, who's an important miss. There's no Oscar Bob again today. I thought he might have been on the bench, but Manchester City, I'm not sure in their current mood, their current mindset, whether anyone, apart from probably Rodri, day and night, really looking forward to those 2 semi-finals. You'll hear them, 5 Live, the place to hear them on Wednesday and Thursday night. Then Friday night, our FA Cup commentaries begin with Manchester United against Leicester. Big sporting weekend with all of the FA Cup commentaries, and England-France as well in the Six Nations, which is next Saturday tea time, same time as the Ireland-England game yesterday. And all of those matches, 5 Live Sports Extra, you'll hear them over the course of the end of this week and the start of next. But Newcastle starting with a 2-0 lead against Arsenal from the first leg, as Raya has got the ball just outside his penalty area. He's goading Manchester City, foot on the ball, saying, come on, see if you can come and take it off me. And it's the Olays, and Partey flicks the ball away, and comes McAtee to get a touch, but that takes it to Timber, and Timber to Waneri on the right-hand side, and little Waneri now beats McAtee, left-footed cross, good one as well, but headed down and behind by Akanji for a corner.
Well, I thought Arsenal taking the mick a little bit, to be honest. David Raya trying to play out and what have you, but they do it so well. Partey, great touch into midfield, just spins the ball, lifts it over a player, and then driving through the line of pressure. And Arsenal creating another opportunity to get across into the box, which is defended well from Akanji, and now they're going to take their time with an in-swinging corner with, is that Waneri over the far side? On the corner, I think it might be.
So So Arsenal with this latest corner into the near post, it goes Haaland. Oh, and there's a deflection there, and it was obviously off an Arsenal body at the near post. Timber, I think it might have been, it touched at the near post as it whizzed wide of the near post and behind for a goal kick. Another couple of Arsenal changes, and Mikel Arteta is going to give Miles Lewis-Skelly his moment in the spotlight. He's being substituted in the 90th minute on the day that he scored his first goal for the club, his first senior competitive goal. He applauds the Emirates, and the Emirates gladly applauds back. A great day for him. He hugs Calafiori. He also gets a handshake from Raheem Sterling and from Mikel Arteta. He's got a smile on his face as wide as can be.
Soak it up, young man. You deserve it. Brilliant performance, great occasion. Been really building into the team, such to the point where he stays in the team with Calafiori fully fit to play. That's where Arteta's putting him at the moment, and this performance here has just kind of cemented that decision from now. And now he's got a great problem, shall we say, that a manager has, of having two left backs that are in pretty good form. 3 minutes of added time, Arsenal pouring forward again, looking for that fifth goal, and then Sterling plays it across, and down goes Ortega to make the parry from the cross that came over from the right. Declan Rice keeps his feet. The mood is so buoyant among the Arsenal fans around us here that they even forgot to grumble when Raheem Sterling came on. Here's Rice down to Martinelli. Martinelli chips it down the line. Calafiori's after this down into that area where we can't see very well, so I have to get to my feet. And Calafiori with those. You struggled a bit there, John.
I did, yes.
Got up in instalments.
Yeah. Still, I did get up. That's the main thing. Calafiori came running away with it, with his hair flowing, and it's a little bit like Arsenal, isn't it? Calafiori's hair, they're flowing and looking lustrous.
They are. It was a tough game to kind of predict, really, today, wasn't it? Very indifferent.
Must win for Arsenal. Felt more important for Arsenal to win it.
It did. But you just can't account for City at the moment, can you? You're not quite sure. There's moments of really good stuff, and then crazy mistakes that have really cost them in this game in key moments.
I still think they're a dangerous opponent in the Champions League.
I completely agree, because if you take those out of it, you've got a very different match altogether, and they're the fine margins, but at the moment City are just making too many of those errors.
And also in the Champions League, they will be underdogs, bizarrely, for City, and they are very, very dangerous underdogs. Here's Sterling, after he had his penalty saved in Spain on Wednesday night. Declan Rice is able to take it up on the left-hand side. They will enjoy this, Arsenal. For such a long time they've been second best to Manchester City, and the win last season, remember the late goal from Martinelli, that was very tight, wasn't it, that match? But here this has been nothing like tight in the end. Arsenal are winning handsomely, and Rice goes for a cross-field ball. First Lewis-Skelly scores. Now 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri scores a glorious goal to cap this off. A day to remember for Arsenal. 5-1 against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City champions.
Well, Manchester City are completely broken, but you can't take anything away from the quality of this Arsenal goal. Patient build-up. It gets set back to Declan Rice, who spots Nwaneri in an ocean of space, but he's the complete opposite side of the pitch, but he switches the ball first time with his right foot and a bit of swerve straight into Nwaneri's feet. His first touch is like glue, just sticks right to him, steps inside. Gvardiol can't get out to get tightened up, and that's been typical of Manchester City in and around their 18-yard box. They're a yard off it, and you allow the quality of Nwaneri on his left peg to come inside. That's the outcome. Brilliant finish.
And the final whistle goes on what has been a rout for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta against Pep Guardiola and the defending Premier League champions. Mikel Arteta walks across to his old boss. Remember, 3.5 years at Manchester City as Pep Guardiola's assistant. This is his day since then. Yes, he's had the odd victory over Arsenal, over Manchester City, but never anything like this. 5-1 for Arsenal over Manchester City.
You would never have called it, would you? I mean, you wouldn't have gone that far, but such as the recent City form, very spiky up and down, the frailties we've seen, and they were on display here this afternoon after coming back into the game, looking the stronger team, and then within minutes, that's flipped on its head. That's how fragile they are at the moment, from looking, wow, yeah, you're in a rhythm, you're looking good, and then bang, they're gone. And Arsenal, I mean, it's a very different end to this game. Everyone very respectful. I think Manchester City accepting they've been well beaten, and Arsenal just really enjoying the moment.
Some great moments for Arsenal to savour as North London forever strikes up again and red and white scarves are raised all around the Emirates Stadium. And yes, everything is very civilised now amongst the players out on the field. But the way Havertz celebrated his goal, for Waneri to mimicked the Haaland celebration, the meditation celebration.
Yeah.
They have really, really enjoyed this, Arsenal.
Oh, they've had fun. They've enjoyed it, and they've had to work hard for it, because there's been moments in the game where you really felt they're under the cosh. But I think they've got a good team spirit. I think they've got an understanding of how to manage the game. I said it in the commentary that they might not be pretty, or they might not do things that are that exciting at times, but they've got certain gears, Arsenal, that they'll use when they need to, when the time's right. And I think tactically they're a tough team to play against.
Very straight-faced Erling Haaland is booed off as he leaves the field. Yeah, his face looks like thunder walking off the field just behind Pep Guardiola. He disappears down the tunnel. But the City players now disappearing, the Arsenal players still going around the ground. What a contrast. Body language of Manchester City. Remember, these are the teams that finished first and second in the Premier League in the last 2 seasons. Arsenal missing out, but different today. Arsenal coming into this one above City in the Premier League table. It's big smiles all round for Arsenal.